Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. If you're looking for a great way to showcase your school record boards for all the teams or your school's Hall of Fame, their wall mount and floor mount models will turn your gym lobby or wherever you put it into a magnet for kids, coaches, parents, alums, sponsors. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out all of their great products today. And don't forget to mention the podcast. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and their team will have you creating world-class social media content in seconds. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high schools and colleges. And whether it's a simple social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter to showcase all the great things your athletic department is doing, the Gipper team will have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com for more information. We also want to say thanks to Snap. If you're looking for a fundraiser, look no more. All of us have spent time with fundraisers and then been disappointed in the results. Well, that's not going to happen with Snap Raise. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out all of their other great platforms. But if you want to raise a ton of money, like we did at our school with our teams, go to snapraise.com. Once again, don't forget to mention the podcast, snapraise.com. We also want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is one of those platforms you're going to use every single day. Things like scheduling, rosters, results. And even if your state association already has a platform that you use, Home Campus's athletic clearance and eligibility platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com to get started. That's it, homecampus.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. When I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents loved all the features that Huddle provided. But there's so much more. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We'd like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA for more information. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and check out all of their great products through a live web demo. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that demo today. We also want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions for things like digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, along with athletic websites and more. Whether you're an athletic director, a coach, or a school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for you to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. Learn more at hometown.com. And we'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. In my school, we use surveys for everything, kids, coaches, parents. And here's the cool thing. The information that would come back was almost always over the top positive. But the survey also connected us with those squeaky wheel parents. Sometimes we were already hearing from them, and allowed us to find out their concerns, usually address them, and keep them from turning into something big. But going back to that positive data, having that 98% approval in your hands is incredibly valuable. especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Got a very special guest today. Marie Ferdinand-Harris is going to be visiting with us. Let me tell you just a little bit about Marie. She's going to go into her story, but
Yes.
in high school, she led her basketball team to a state championship. As a collegiate athlete, she was inducted into the LSU Athletic Hall of Fame. After college, she had a 10-year career with the WNBA. She was a first round draft pick. She was a multi WNBA All Star. After her playing days, she became a best selling author. She's currently a speaker, a consultant, and we are just so very excited to welcome Marie Ferdinand-Harris to the Educational AD Podcast.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this one here. It's going to be
Well,
special.
you and I connected on LinkedIn. I
Yes.
saw your profile and I go, holy mackerel, we've got to get this lady on the podcast. And you were so very gracious. We emailed a couple times, we had a phone call, and I didn't scare you off. So we're glad that we've got you. Marie, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that
Yes.
quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Maybe take us up through your high school days. We want to talk about all that other stuff, but what's your origin story?
Oh, okay. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. Parents are of Haitian descent. The area we grew up was a very tough, daunting town. Not the best place to raise a family, but the best my parents could do at the time. Just horrible school district, crimes, drugs. I mean, just the worst of the worst. But at a very young age, I was introduced to work ethic, just watching my mom handle adversities and challenges. And I knew I wanted to do something special in life. I wanted to dare to dream and make sure I can write my own story. So I was always seeking an opportunity on how do I do that? How do I pursue higher education? How do I get out of this environment and become something of myself, regardless of what my environment are saying? So from there, went on to LSU and a whole bunch of fun stuff happened.
Thanks. I appreciate you sharing that. And you hear that, I think, frequently with people like yourself that have, achieved, way, way beyond what I guess we would call the norm, but they trace that back to, the challenges that they faced, in their younger years. Let's go and talk about that neighborhood. Obviously, at some point in your life, somebody put a basketball in your hands. Was that your
Yes.
mom, your dad? I mean, was it neighbors? Was there a hoop in the street? How did that all happen?
Well, that was actually, I feel like it was just one of those God moments, to be honest with you. I'm sitting in English class, eighth grade, and I hear this announcement, anyone interested in girls basketball? And it just dawned on me that, oh my gosh, I should go try out for that. I don't know how to play basketball, but they'll teach you. So I go and try out, and literally within 2 years of playing basketball, it changed the trajectory of my life. I end up changing the whole culture of our high school. All of a sudden, what was known for a negative school became a positive vibe school where we were winning championships and winning lots of games. Just the whole community was just like literally awakened by these women, these girls basketball players who were dominating on the court. The news stations, college coaches are visiting this less than high school, where nothing good come out of this high school. But now you have these girls who are dominating. So that's how I end up becoming not just player of the year at that high school, but it was such a big change that I was player of the decade there in Miami Edison Senior High and was able to take my talents to LSU and then WNBA.
Well, I want you to share your LSU experience, I think, in our next segment. I want to stick with the high school. How
Okay.
was that going from, not even playing the game to within a couple of years, a state championship? What were Can you share some memories, some benchmarks that well, hey, I'm a starter, or hey, we're actually a pretty good team. Do you
Yeah.
remember any moments like that where it just kind of hits you?
Yes. So at this particular high school, we had a coach who wasn't really an X and O coach. She was more a coach that she wasn't X and O. She was just more, she was there, but for us, she was more of a financial support, especially for me. But there was a guy by the name of John Burke at this school, because like I said, this was not the safest school. He was a security guard there, and he would always come in and volunteer his time and teach us basketball fundamentals. And he was the type of coach where if you commit, you commit. That means year round, nonstop training. And we gave in to what he was saying, and we became very good very fast. I remember we were getting blown out to now all of a sudden we were blowing everybody else out. And it dawned like, oh my gosh, we're like now the dominating team. It all has changed. The role have reversed. Now we're this powerhouse where people are afraid of us. We're not even afraid of them anymore. So that was how that bell rang, and I'm like, wow, we are really getting ready to do something special, because it wasn't just I getting better, the team got better. So it was just something special to see that happen so fast through hard work, through yearly commitments.
Um, gonna ask a personal question here. You
Sure.
mentioned that your parents came from Haiti.
Mhm.
Probably, I'm guessing, didn't have a basketball background. As all of these events were happening to you from middle school to high school, what were your parents' responses to that? Were they excited? Were they going, well, what the heck is this basketball thing?
Yeah.
What are your memories of that?
Well, my parents really, particularly my mom, because my mom and dad split up, my mom really didn't get on the bandwagon, not until I literally started having Sue Gunner and Bob Starkey, who are coaches at LSU at the time, start to come wanting to visit our home. Up until then, my mom just thought this was just, she's just having fun. It's just a game. Because in my culture, if you're not trying to become a doctor or a lawyer,
Right.
nothing is really serious. It's just a game. So my mom didn't really get on board until she saw Sue Gunner, Bob Starkey, Pokey Chapman, these coaches wanting to come and visit me at our home to offer a scholarship. That's when it became, oh my gosh, she can really go somewhere with this game.
Did any memories of mom in the high school gym, cheering you on?
Oh, oh, mom never came to the games. Mom never really thought this would do anything. Sports was not something even at the time girls did. Sports wasn't valued. It wasn't a popular thing for girls to do. So mom wasn't really feeling the basketball. It wasn't until actually when I was graduating from LSU, she finally came and watched one of my games and watched me walk across the stage. So yeah, so that made me realize that she valued academics, but she appreciated what the sports did, the doors it opened.
Oh no, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, it sounds like LSU was there. Maybe they were the first in line. Any other colleges, take a look and say, "Wow, this kid can play."
Yes, definitely. We had University of Miami, University of Florida, Florida State, Georgia. We had a lot of good options for me to choose from.
What was the selling point or points that got you to LSU? Obviously, tremendous history, but pretty good academic school too.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, to be honest with you, I was getting ready to commit to University of Florida. Kind of wanted to stay, in the state of Florida. And I came very close, but then I took one last visit to LSU, to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And when I tell you they slapped that good old jambalaya and gumbo, gave me a bowl of gumbo, a plate of jambalaya, and the rest was history.
All right. Wow, I love it. Okay. Um, we're going to hear more about your career at LSU in our next segment. Let's go and take a break. Once again, for our listeners, our guest today is Marie Ferdinand-Harris. Tremendous background in athletics. She's going to share all of that and more. Let's take that break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. You put one of these in your gym lobby or your school's auditorium, your main hall, and it's going to be a magnet for your kids, your coaches, your parents, your sponsors, your alums. It's really, you really need to see it to believe it. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. You're going to be glad you did. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com, and their team is going to have you creating world-class social media content in seconds. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs across the country. And whether it's a social media post to celebrate a big victory or an entire newsletter to share all the great things your program is doing with your stakeholders, Gipper team is going to have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. How easy? Well, it's so easy, even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com to get started. Don't forget to mention the podcast. That's Gipper.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is Marie Ferdinand-Harris. Marie, you shared with our listeners, growing up in Miami, going to Edison High School, state championships, and then getting recruited to play at a little place called LSU. What was that like when you got over there? Were you, and these are my words, were you the hotshot freshman that the upperclassmen were looking at? Did you have to scratch and claw to make the travel team? What are your memories of that first year?
Well, that first year was really tough because I came in with a torn ACL going into the playoffs of my senior year in high school. I tore my ACL. And I remember the doctor saying, well, you tore your ACL. There's nothing much you can do to it. If you want to get a knee brace, you can still go out there and play. And once I heard that, I was getting that knee brace, and I continued to play with the knee brace to finish off my high school season. Don't recommend that, but that is what I did. We ended up going to the championship game, losing by 2 points, but I played my heart out with one little leg. But then going to LSU, I had my surgery in the off season and rehabbed at LSU. So I came in very limited, not full strength, played half the season my freshman year, and it was a tough adjustment because sports is my comfort, it's my safe haven. So to come into a new environment and not being able to play right away was tough. And on top of that, it was culture shock. It was the first time I was, away from my family, in a different environment. And, I had to learn all these different things, but I exercised mental toughness and was able to figure it out and get back on the court and find confidence in myself.
Wow, that had to be tough.
Mhm.
I'm trying not to sound negative on this. I'm hoping that the athletic department, the coaches, et cetera, academics, were they supportive of you? I mean, a lot of times, you hear stories about, if you can't play, we don't care about you, and they just kind of kick you to the curb. Was that your experience? I really hope it wasn't.
Not at all. Even after I tore my ACL, before I even signed with LSU, like they wanted me that badly. Even on the torn ACL, they was wanting me to come to LSU. So that showed me that it's bigger than basketball. They truly didn't want to quit, give up. They knew what they wanted, and they were willing to bet on me and bet that I'll come back, I'll rehab, and I'll get back to 100%, even though they may not have me for possibly that whole freshman season. So that showed me showed a lot on LSU wanting to continue to pursue me, even though I was coming in with a torn ACL.
No, wow, that's so. I'm so glad that that happened. All right, fast forward. You've gone through your rehab. You're coming back in. Practices, et cetera. What was your reentry into being an active student athlete on the basketball team?
Well, after just living in the training room, rehabbing, towards the latter part of the year, I was able to join the team and really set the tone for a spectacular sophomore season. It was a immediate impact because like I said, even after rehab, I was right there at practices. I'd be dribbling the ball. I'd be doing everything I could do at the time to kind of stay ready. So physically, I wasn't on the court, but mentally, I was on that court. Just knowing the plays, knowing, just being familiar with the system. So it helped me to be able to come in once I got the green light that I was, ready to get back on the court and make an immediate impact, which, like I said earlier, helped with great momentum going into my sophomore season at LSU.
Now, women's basketball has just grown, exponentially, and it's great to watch now. I mean, it's must see TV, SEC, all that stuff. What was I guess, the state of SEC women's basketball when you were playing, and comparison to the men's program? Did you guys feel like the college treated both programs equally?
Mhm. Definitely, we were up and coming in the SEC. We had a very talented team at the time. They had Stromae Swift. LSU men's basketball was huge back then. Definitely, we weren't always given what the guys had, but we had our fair share because we had a good team. Surgeon, with becoming regulars in the NCAA tournaments. But it's definitely wasn't what it is now. I always tell my parents, I tell my sisters, I tell my friends, I tell even my colleagues, we played in the wrong era. Like what in the world? This is when we need to be playing women's basketball, being involved and on that floor because the landscape has totally changed and it's for the good. And I'm just so happy to see it because although we're not playing, we feel like, hey, we've paved the way and we're seeing our blood, sweat, and tears. Players are able to capitalize and hopefully they can pass it on, keep going, and pass it on to the next generation.
Oh no, absolutely. I'm tempted to ask a question now. I'm going to save it for our next segment, when you share the next part of your journey. Um, in high school, you guys won a state championship, pretty big deal. What are a couple of your greatest, from your perspective, accomplishments, individual or team wise, while you were at LSU?
I think my biggest one is being able to help change the direction of the program. Like I said, the school we went to was predominantly Haitian kids or Cubans, maybe 50% Americans, and we were the less than of the group. So to be able to change that dynamic, change the culture, and to go to an LSU, which was not even a lot of doubters, a lot of naysayers didn't even think I'd pass my ACT. But for me to accomplish that and get to LSU and have such a great career at LSU because I didn't want to let those other kids behind. I didn't want to let them down. They were looking up like, wow, if Marie can make it to an LSU, I can. So to be able to be like a trailblazer, someone that they can look up and see themselves at a prestigious university and set that trend was a moment that I'll never forget because after I left LSU, we had three more players from Miami Edison Senior High go on to LSU, which is, three really good players. So to be kind of that trendsetter, that trailblazer, to set the tone and create hope and opportunities and to show representation was huge. And that I think that's my biggest takeaway with high school basketball.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, great. I love your turn of phrase, trailblazer there. Great.
Yeah.
Um, all right. In our next segment, we're going to take a deep dive into your WNBA career.
Mhm.
As your senior season was progressing and, let's say, wrapping up, were you thinking about the pros? Had you already been contacted by, scouts or agents? Did that kind of, was that a surprise? WNBA had been around for a while, so you knew it was there. But what are your memories of that time, as a college senior?
It was exciting because I remember WNBA coaches coming to our practices to watch me practice. So it was no secret that I was going to be drafted into the WNBA. It was just a matter of where was I going to go? I was a top 10 pick in the WNBA. So when you're a top 10, you know, kind of, they have kind of the mock draft where it's a possibility. But at the same time, too, we had those coaches coming into the practices wanting to really have an understanding of who is the player and not only the player, but who's the person.
Right.
So it was pretty predictable to know that I was going into the WNBA.
It had to be a tremendously exciting time. And we're going to let Marie share that in our next segment. So that means we're going to take another quick break, but we are coming back.
Yes.
So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap Raise for their support. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it in our school with our teams, had great success. Our coaches loved it, our parents loved it, and it works. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. Go to snapraise.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, snapraise.com. We also want to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com. Mention you heard about it on the podcast. They'll give you a nice discount. You're going to be very glad you did. That's homecampus.com. And we want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos. Our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users and find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. Welcome back, everyone. Once again, our guest today is Marie Ferdinand-Harris, longtime professional athlete with the WNBA, best-selling author, consultant, and speaker. Marie, you just shared with our listeners that pre-WNBA time, coaches, scouts were coming to your practices. You had a pretty good feeling you were going to be a first-round pick. Take us back to those days. Was it as big as it is now, watching on ESPN and all that, or was it just a random phone call? How did the draft night play out for you?
Well, the draft day, it was great. Actually, we were invited. Top 10 picks are always invited to New York. And I remember just being there with the other players who were getting drafted. It was an early morning, makeup, hair, just kind of getting yourself all fixed up and talking to some of your biggest competitors. You're all of a sudden you're being friends with them and just we're all sharing our nervous feelings together. But it was a great, great, great moment. Family is there, and you're just excited because you don't know where you're gonna go. You hear it may be Miami. I was, like I said, born and raised in Miami, and that was where I was supposed to go. Everyone was saying, "Oh, she's going to go to Miami, local kid, can really help the franchise." They're looking for a guard. So I really thought in my mind, okay, I'm going to go play back home. Who don't want to play in your hometown? It's one of those moments that you look for as an athlete. So draft moment come, we're all sitting down now, and they call me with the eighth pick, first round. And actually, they called the fifth pick, and the commissioner go up. At the time, it was what was her name? Oh my gosh, she'll be so mad at me right now. But the former commissioner, she called number fifth pick. That was the pick I was thought that I was going to go to. And they pick a player, a center by the name of Ruth Raleigh going to Miami. And I'm sitting there like, oh no, because you go from thinking this is where you're going, I'm going to play in front of my family, hometown, this is going to be great, to now not going to Miami and end up being the eighth pick. And where did I end up? In Utah. So I'm just like, okay, from the beaches to the mountains. It was just such a big change to where I was just shocked that how did I end up in Utah and not Miami? But when I tell you, Jake, it was the biggest and the best decision ever. I felt like that's where I was supposed to have gone. I was able to go to Utah, play in Salt Lake City for 2, 3 years. I mean, great fan base, great team, great coaches, great veteran team. I was surrounded by a lot of great leaders, Natalie Williams and Jennifer Azzi, some of the pioneers in the game, floor generals that were able to take me under their wings and teach the little rookie pro basketball, how it happens here. And so I was grateful for that opportunity, and come to find out the Miami team didn't even make it. Halfway through the season, they end up folding, and all the players had to get dispersed. So I was grateful that God placed me where I needed to be. And I had an immediate impact with the Salt Lake team and what was called Utah Stars. And I mean, started a great career there. You know what I mean? Immediately put in the starting lineup with great veterans. So it turned out to be great. That's when that scripture, Proverbs chapter 3, 3, 4, and 5, that says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not into your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. And that's exactly what he did. I went from Miami to Utah, not understanding like who's in Utah, where is Utah, to where it became one of the greatest move ever, the best place for me at the time.
Oh, I love it. And I don't have to ask my questions because I was going to say, well, how was it? Did the team embrace you? Obviously, they did. You became a starter. Let's talk about that again. You're going up to the next level, and we see it all the time. Kids great in junior high, but
Yeah.
just they reach their peak. Great in high school, but they don't have what it takes to succeed at the college level. Okay, you just kept raising your game to the level you were at. Was there any? Did you come in? And again, I mean this in a very positive way. Did you come in confident? I know I can do this. Was there some trepidation? Am I good enough to be a pro? Can you remember your mindset back then?
I came in very prepared, very confident in my ability, my skill set. And that helped me to be able to make that immediate impact. I just basketball is something I've always, since I picked it up at the age of 13, I've always wanted to do it. And my senior year in high school, that's when they launched the WNBA, and it became a goal of mine. So for me to actually be playing professional basketball, because I've always thought I'd have to sneak into the NBA some way, somehow, because I never thought we'd have our own league. But after it came about in 1997, that was my goal, to make it to the WNBA. So when that opportunity came and I was actually there on a WNBA team, like that was all the confidence I needed. I've always been a self-starter, self-motivator. Like I said, very confident in myself and my ability because I've always put in the work. My shooting coach always say there's no reason to be scared if you're prepared. And that was always me. I was always prepared. So I embraced that opportunity.
Boy, a couple of years ago, we had Jackie Stiles on the
Mhm.
podcast, and she shared her story, and again, she had some nagging injuries and things like that. She was still rookie of the year, first year in the league, but I remember she talked about her and one of her teammates, the meal money, the per diem wasn't that great, and they would save most of the money, and they would just eat hamburgers and milkshakes after the games. I'm curious. What was your experience? I think you were a little bit later than Jackie Stiles, but what was your memory about the travel and hotels and that type of thing?
Well, actually, it's funny that you bring up Jackie Stiles because she and I was drafted in the same year.
Is that
The
right?
fourth pick, the
Yeah.
fourth pick was to Portland, and I thought I was going to go to Portland as well. It was
Mhm.
talks that you may go to Portland, but Portland went with Jackie, Miami went with Ruth Riley, another post player, and then Utah ended up getting me. And we had our battles, Jackie Stiles and I. We were just literally head and head. We played the same position, so we had some great battles then, and she ended up winning Rookie of the Year, and I got co-rookie,
Oh, wow.
runner up for Rookie of the Year. So I know Jackie Style very, very well. We came in the same draft team, draft year. Yeah, we're familiar with each other. Great player, great person, great work ethic, a great shooter, very respected player. But she's right. Those per diem money was part of we added that to our salary. I mean, we're looking like, man, our salary is like the NBA's per diem. That's what we were thinking. It was just hard days, but we were grateful that we were able to at least have a league and not have to go overseas. At least we had something in the
Right.
state that we can have an option to play in, opposed to just having the overseas option.
Right. No. I've had a couple of WNBA players on as guests before, and I usually ask this question. So here goes. Um, Looking at your game, back when you were a WNBA All-Star, when you were in your prime, let's fast forward to 2024, 2025. Okay. Is Marie Ferdinand-Harris playing in the WNBA today in her prime?
Oh, definitely. I'm telling you, I am now 45, and I look at Diana Taurasi playing, who's like what, 43, 44. And literally, if Diana could still be playing, I definitely could still be out there. It's just something that I just decided that I wanted to do something else at the time. But man, how many of us wish we can go back right now and just suit up just for 1 year, just for 1 year. But I think definitely my makeup, my build, my athleticism is still there. I still play in these women leagues here. If I fully commit, I think I can play a season, to be honest with you.
You still got game. I can tell you still got game. All right. Um, in our next segment, I'm going to have you share some of the things that you're doing now. Again, best-selling author, speaker, consultant, etc. Um, Looking back to your WNBA career, were you doing things at the time, maybe those last 2, 3, 4 years? Were you preparing for your next chapter, or did it? And again, these are my words. Did it kind of catch you by surprise? What are your memories of that?
Well, no, I didn't have a transition plan, and I struggled after I played 12 years in the WNBA because playing in the WNBA, I never really understood how to compete and how to be about relationship building. So I just chose to compete. And that cost me, because to be on the biggest platform and to be able to count with one hand how many friends I have was pretty sad. But I had to humble myself upon retirement and realize that I had developed as a player, but I was neglected as a person. And I had to just go do the work, go and groom the person, develop the person. I started to work with a self-confidence coach. I started to literally volunteer my time to speak at every Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce, anywhere I can get comfortable just holding a mic and speaking to people. I wanted to master that skill set. I started LinkedIn became my best friend. I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to make sure I never miss an opportunity to meet someone. So I had to just go back and do all the work, do all the things that I didn't do when I played, and develop as this person if I was going to have a successful post-sport career. And that is what I did. And I was able to, get some opportunities upon developing the person.
Well, we're going to hear about where those opportunities have taken you in our next segment. So let's go and take another quick break. I know that's shocking for our regular listeners, but we are going to come back with our guest, Marie Ferdinand Harris. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We'd like to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. To find out more, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see all of their great products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an athletic director was our Sideline Interactive Indoor Score Table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products today. We'd also like to say thank you to Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions for things like digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, and athletic websites. Whether you're an athletic director, a coach, or a school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for you to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. You can learn more at hometownticketing.com. That's hometownticketing.com. Welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is Marie Ferdinand-Harris, multi WNBA All-Star and post-professional athlete career. She talked a little bit about not having a transition plan, but then getting one together, and it's led to some pretty impressive accomplishments. Marie, I'm just going to start with the book, if that's okay. Share with our listeners how that all came together, and of course, where can they get their copy?
Absolutely. So the book was in it's something I wanted to do. I didn't share about losing my 14-year-old son, CJ, who was this star player that wanted no part of the star treatment. At the age of 14, CJ already had a scholarship to LSU in the eighth grade, just a stellar athlete that was not even known for his athleticism. It was his character that he was more known for and how he treated people. He was truly the ultimate teammate in life. CJ, like I said before, a star player wanted by all these coaches, highly recruited in the USA baseball circuit, just a stellar athlete, didn't care about those things. He more so cared for the kids in the school who was often overlooked. And CJ, although a star, he would just gravitate to those kids who weren't a star, weren't as popular. And those were his buddies. He was a friend to that kid who needed a friend. Every day you'll find CJ sitting, having lunch, eating with the kids who were special needs. He just had a heart for the broken. CJ was just special. So I wanted to write my book and literally share not just my journey, but also share CJ. I just think my whole journey and how I was able to get from the worst area in Miami to LSU, WNBA, and then also go to Harvard. And how do one do that? And then even while always thinking I was winning on the court, winning games, escaping my environment, always winning. But for the first time, I was facing my biggest loss, which was the loss of my son. And I was able to learn through Christ that even in loss, you're still victorious. I was able to understand that even in wins, even in loss, there are wins. So, and that's what I speak about. I speak and go and share with people how to find your wins in the loss. And that book came from my whole story. I just felt like I need to share how in the world did I do this? Share the resiliency in me, share the courageous attitude, share that failure, how I've mastered the failure quotient. Anything that have been placed in front of me, I've changed it into a success. And I just felt like I need to share this compelling story, and why not write a book and use it as a guide to uplift, to motivate, to encourage other people to, know that there are wins, in the midst of a loss.
Boy, again, I appreciate you sharing that, such a personal story. And as as the book has gotten out there and you shared that message, what's some of the feedback you've gotten from people that have become aware of CJ's story?
Well, the biggest is more on how it has helped them to get back up, to move forward. They have gained strength just from my whole story, just how, like, even the whole Harvard opportunity. This is after we lose CJ. I knew I couldn't sit back and wait on sympathy. I had to keep moving forward. That's when I took a leap of faith and wanted to get into Harvard, get into that MBA program, and it happened. So sitting in a Harvard business class was empowering because where I come from, you don't affiliate your name with Harvard from what they say. But like I said, I was always daring to dream, wanted to write my own story. But that's what people say. They just gain strength through just reading all my roadblocks, my challenges, and how I was able to move past them with a optimistic attitude, with a faithful attitude, with just not feeling sorry for myself, but finding ways to be of impact, finding ways to use a tragedy, to build other people up.
You know, as you shared your story with our listeners and with me, of course, I've just been so impressed. You had um, mentors, positive mentors, at just about every stage in your life. You know, your mom, those coaches that you talked about in high school, LSU, their teammates with
Yeah.
Utah and throughout your career. Um, what are some things that you are doing right now beyond, well, again, with your consulting and your speaking to help continue that cycle of mentoring the next generation? What are some, I guess, tools you can share with our listeners so that they can become better mentors?
Yeah. Well, to begin with, after we lost CJ, we established the Be Like CJ Foundation, which is all about enriching young people's life. Our job is to work with all walks of life and help them to wear that ultimate teammate hat, teaching them the importance of being compassionate, being loving, being kind, being a friend to a kid who may need a friend. So we're very active in schools where we're doing pep rallies, we're doing kindness campaigns, we're doing youth summits, we're doing events, we're doing turkey and Christmas drives, we're doing our golf tournaments, we're raising money to continue doing the things that CJ was doing and instilling love in young people's heart. And I think now more than ever, we need those kind of messages. We need those kindness messages. We need reinforcement on how important it is to be compassionate and to be a friend. And that's what we do. So we're literally very active in the school systems, sharing CJ's message. And I love doing it. I also do speaking engagement where I share my compelling story of how I was able to go from Little Haiti to Harvard. I share CJ's story on how he wore this ultimate teammate hat, how it didn't matter. The home runs didn't matter. The touchdowns didn't matter. But what mattered most to CJ was being a friend or seeing someone who needed help or who needed someone to just sit with them, talk with them, regardless of his status. It meant nothing. It was more important for him to make someone else's day than to be shattered with accolades. So that's part of what I do now. I consult, I help families who have lost a loved one be able to share tools on how to know that, hey, how to move forward. I share tools on how to find wins within a loss. And like I said, also working with athletes, helping them with transition plan. Like I said before, I didn't have a transition plan. So helping them to maximize their platform while they're playing right now. I do a lot of things. I consult with adults, with athletes, with young teens, with moms. The biggest thing is not to let people who have suffered a loss walk naked and to let them know that, hey, you can still be victorious in the midst of loss.
Oh, wow, absolutely. We're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but if one of our listeners wanted to,
Mhm.
get the book, find out more, connect with you, and add you
Yes.
to their network, what's the best way that they can get in touch with you?
They can definitely find me on my website. They can order a book from the website. They can learn about all the fun things I'm constantly doing on the website. And that website address is www.marie, M-A-R-I-E, Ferdinand, Ferdinand.com. So it's www.marieferdinand.com.
And once again, we're going to give that information out at the end of the podcast. Marie, this has just been so cool hearing about your journey, how it continues to impact and influence people as well as yourself. But we're not
Absolutely.
done yet. We always wrap up with a segment we call the Athletic Director's Toolbox. Now, you're not an athletic director, but you certainly know your way around the world of high school and college and professional athletics. So we're going to take our final break. We're going to hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsor this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director or brand new leader on their very first job. But I'm only going to let you put 3 tools in their
Okay.
toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hear from Athletic Surveys. And when we return, we'll see what Marie Ferdinand-Harris puts in her new athletic director toolbox. We want to say thank you to Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. You know, at my school, we use surveys for everything: kids, coaches, parents, teachers. And the information that would come back on these surveys was almost always over the top positive. And it's going to be the same for you. The surveys also allowed us to connect with parents that we were already usually hearing from, those squeaky wheel parents that had a complaint, but we could hear about that complaint, usually a small one, address it, keep it from becoming a big one. But here's the cool thing, going back to that 98% positive return. Having that data, having that information was incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with that frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. Visit them today, athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Marie Ferdinand-Harris. You've heard her background in athletics, just tremendous. But right now, I'm going to challenge her to send out a brand new AD, a brand new leader on their first job, but I'm only going to let her put 3 items in the toolbox. So, Marie, what 3 items are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
I would definitely say leadership and vision. That's big because the ability to set a clear direction for the athletic program sets the tone. So definitely leadership and vision. And another would be organization. I mean, that to me is top. Proficiency in managing budgets. You have the scheduling of events, you have the compliance, regulation, just organization. That must be high priority, for a high functional athletic program all across the board. And the last one for me, I would have no problem with this one, would be interpersonal skills, communication skills. You got to have effective communication with the coaches, the athletes, the parents. You know what I mean? You want to be able to build those strong relationships and resolving conflicts early. Those are my 3 tools that I would definitely say is a must-have in those toolbox. Leadership and vision, organizational and manageable skills, and the last one is interpersonal and communication skills.
I love how you, for our categories, we say our books include the top 20 tools for success. You managed to squeeze in a couple of extra ones in there. So I love that. Yeah, true leadership style. You're getting the bang for your buck. Certainly, a good leadership tool would include your book. So one more time, let's go ahead and give out that contact information. How can our listeners connect with you, find out more about the foundation, maybe have you at their school as a speaker, and also where can they get the book?
All the information, know all about Marie, want to know all about Marie, what am I doing, how to get in touch with me, what's my book. I just actually released my second book. It's actually a book for CJ. It's called Be Like CJ. It's on Amazon as well. CJ's website to learn all the amazing things we're doing at the Be Like CJ Foundation. You can find more information at BeLikeCJ.org. But my website, marieferdinand.com, is where you can find everything about Marie, how to get my book, how to book me for a speaking gig, how to learn about all the different services I offer. You can find answers to all those at marieferdinand.com. And definitely getting my book for a new AD will definitely help them. That'll be a great tool for them because it will give them the mindset and the vision they need on how to deal with people, from parents to coaches to athletes to stakeholders. You get the whole shebang within my book. It's called Transform the Winning Side of Losing. And on the
Trans
website, you can get an autographed copy, which is even more fun.
Transform the winning side of losing. I love it. Thanks so much for sharing that information. Marie, thanks for sharing with our listeners. Truly
Absolutely.
appreciate it. All the best moving forward. We're going to have to get you back on the podcast. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. I would love to come back. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, for our listeners, we want to say thanks to you and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices. So hopefully you'll join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.